Hi, everybody. This is Pat Sherlock, and I'm thrilled to have my friend Stacey Harding. Stacey has now joined our world of consulting and sales improvement in the financial services. So I'm so thrilled to talk to him today about his own experience and his many years in mortgage banking, in addition to why he started up his business. Stacey has been well known within our industry as a sales leader with Cherry Creek, also Cornerstone, and several other fabulous companies within mortgage lending. So, hi, Stacey.
Well, Pat, it is so great to be with you, and thanks for that introduction. I really am excited about Hourglass Consulting Group and what we're going to do in the coaching and consulting world. But I'm just honored to spend some time with you. You and I have been colleagues for a lot of years, and a lot of people have approached business, especially in the mortgage industry, with different ways. But you and I think, have shared a similar approach to that of really adding value and making a difference in people's lives. So, thanks for taking a few minutes with me today.
Well, Stacey, let's talk about you had, as I said in the opener, you've had 40 years in sales leadership roles, and now you've moved to our world of certainly the consulting and sales improvement side. Why did you decide to do this, and what was really your motivators?
Yeah, thanks for that. 40 years. It seems like it was
It's a
just
lot.
yesterday we started. It has been an amazing professional career. And I think that for me, Pat, at this point, it's just taking all of those experiences over the course of that time and really giving back. And that's really where I think sometimes we reach this point in our lives where it's not so much about building a career as it is, I really want to make a significant difference in the lives of other people. And so I thought just naturally that after a wonderful career in mortgage banking and serving the needs of people who are buying homes and building their financial stability with my colleagues, that was just time for me to help others, maybe who are earlier in the stage of their careers than I am at this point, learn how to do that with significance and not just pursue success at the sacrifice of other parts of their lives. And it's just been a lot of fun so far, and it really is truly about just sharing my heart with others from whatever experiences, mostly the failures I've had, to be honest.
Well, that's a function of certainly experiences. You learn from, probably more importantly, you learn from the failures and what works and what doesn't work, which leads me to this is certainly a challenging time within our business and industry. So, talk about how you see what's going on now and also why this was a great time, an opportunity for you to actually get into the world of helping organizations be better.
Yeah, you and I had a conversation not too long ago that we
Sure.
thought alike, that one of the most critical things right now is that culture matters more now than ever before.
Mhm.
And I think that, the mortgage industry in particular, financial services, has benefited from a healthy interest rate environment for 25 years until recently, right? And by the way, interest rates in the 7% on a 30-year fixed rate, still pretty good. Most people think
Sure.
it's horrible. But the reality is that when things are so good, it's hard to really focus on culture because people are so focused on transactions and building
Right.
business and learning how to manage the financial rewards of that. Now the opposite has happened, and particularly in the mortgage industry, and it's really struggling. And so now it's let's survive. I've heard that theme out there, survive to 25. And it's like, I really don't personally like that mentality because I think we can, as leaders in any industry, and particularly in the financial services, now is the time for, above all times, to really build your culture and prove it. Not just make it words, but prove it by the way that you're investing in the team that you have. And it's not necessarily in the sense of the extra overhead, it's the invest of focus. Whatever the size of the team is, it needs to be as appropriate given the circumstances, but investing in a way where people look at this as a time of, I'm going to look beyond the next 12 months to the next 5 years. What does it look like, and what can we do to really add value in an industry that will always be needed in this country? And so I think it's an exciting time, although it's obviously a struggle for some folks right now.
Well, I definitely agree with you that, as I often say, is that when there's painful times, people are more willing to listen and more willing to take action. And I think you're really making that point. And I certainly see it, certainly in my career within the consulting world, is that now they're looking for new ideas, they're looking for new strategies. So, Stacey, talk about this issue. and your focus on is obviously the personnel component, the cultural side of it. The industry tends to be really devoted to, well, let's get a new LOS system. Let's get some technology that's going to do something or other. And sometimes, in my view, the personnel side is just taken as a given, and that's obviously what distinguishes companies. So, talk about that.
Yeah, and Pat, both you and I know technology and where the industry is going to go and the country is going to go with the use of artificial intelligence. All those things, you can't ignore it. I mean, it's real, and it's necessary to embrace that. But at the end of the day, companies have always realized when they come back to us, particularly in the services industry, like getting a mortgage transaction or a financial transaction, it's about people. And people are our greatest resources, our greatest advocates, our greatest inventors. And we've got to invest in that. And so I think it's all about connection. And it's the reason you and I have had a connection all these years is that we learn from each other. And that's how organizations, I think, today have to operate. I think today collaboration with your team is more important than ever before. And so I just think this is a time to maybe slow down and get back to some of the fundamentals about interpersonal relationships and soft skills, knowing how to connect with people, really understand someone instead of just showing up and saying, well, I got 8 hours to put in today, and so I'll do my job and go home. Companies that have teams like that aren't going to survive. We have to have a passion for what we're doing, and that can only happen by living out values-based principles and inspired vision. And so I think that's where we need to be focused right now.
Well, that's a great point, and I definitely agree with you. And I think sometimes it's often lost in our business that they think that if we get to robots, that that will be the solution set, when really we need to recognize that it is a people-to-people business for sure. So, focus on your consulting firm, Hourglass, and what
Yeah.
it is that you think that you are really going to be bringing to customers that and clients that you would be dealing with.
Yeah, and Pat, I think that the reality for our new company and myself, we won't be the right firm for everyone. There are amazing coaching organizations out there today in all industries in our nation, across the world. What we're really going to focus on, and I think it has to do just with my own nature, is there's this concept of pursuing success in our lives, and it's important. It fuels our economic viabilities as individuals and as companies. But beyond that, is there a place where we could focus and pursue called significance? And so I think for me, the folks that will, I think, be attracted to what we're doing are folks that are trying to figure out how do I take my intellectual mind along with my heart and soul and make sure that my efforts in work and life matter to me and to the world. I think we're all going to get to the end of our careers. Certainly, I've recently done that in my mortgage banking career and look back and wonder, did it matter? And I think in many ways it has, in other ways it could have been better. But I think a sad outcome for people would be if they get towards the end of their lives and they start to look back and they say, wow, I dedicated so much time to these other things. And in the eyes of the world, so to speak, I've been very successful, but I feel empty. I don't have the relationships that I wanted to have. And I don't even know if my work really mattered in the end. That's tragic, in my opinion. And we all know people like that. I have family members that have been through that. And I, for one, don't want to be there. And I wouldn't want that for anybody that I'm affiliated with or connected with. And ultimately, I think we're all connected. So that's my mission. I want to create a transformative world where people are enlightened about the true meaning of their personal lives and how to express that in the work we do and make the world a better place.
So, Stacey, how would this work from the standpoint, let's say a client was interested in having you come in and having your consulting firm come in? How would an engagement look like for you?
Yeah, thanks for asking that, Pat, because the truth of the matter is that we're going to have to spend some time together with a potential client. And so for me, it's all going to be about spending some time in discovery to determine whether or not we're the right organization, whether I'm the right person to lead coaching or consulting. And ultimately, we might discover together that it would be better to work with someone else. So it's really just through a discovery process. It doesn't have to take, days on end, but let's get to know each other, what the objective for that client would be, and whether or not I think I could be the person to help, illuminate what they're looking for.
So, Stacey, when you would look at it from the standpoint of the outcomes that an engagement with you would generate, what type of results do you think and impact that would it have in an organization?
Yeah, that is a great question. I'm not sure it can be answered here because the truth of the matter is, I don't want to have a narrative for clients about what that should look like. I know in my own mortgage practice what I was always looking for and what we were trying to achieve, but that's unique to every individual who may be interested in talking with us, and certainly unique to every organization. Ultimately, when working with companies, we have to create an opportunity for the exchange of value that we're presenting moves them forward at a velocity that they otherwise couldn't have done. And so I think for the ultimate outcome, that's really determined by the client. But here's what my promise is. It's always going to be about the client. It's not going to be me trying to motivate someone to think differently because I had certain experiences or what my narrative or impression of that organization might have been. It's going to be about discovery and authentic discussions. There's no pretense coming from me, and it won't work if someone wants to, not be authentic in the process.
So, Stacey, when you look back in your own career and you've had a long record of scaling businesses, obviously the philosophy that generated your success is really what you're providing in your consulting business. So,
Yeah.
the scaling process of how do you get to be bigger, better, and all of that ties together with a philosophy and a value component. Is that certainly the benchmark of what you're going to be utilizing in your consulting practice?
Yeah, I have no doubt that that's part of the metrics. And certainly, I've always shared this with sales professionals that I've worked with. I think there's in our nature the need to grow, right? It's kind of like in life, we're either growing and expanding or we're shrinking. And we've seen that, with aging family members and friends, that sometimes if they're not pressing to get out of their comfort zone, the world shrinks a little bit. So I think there's this natural need for organizations and people to be growing. And so ultimately, it's what is that vision for that individual or that company? And then what's the price that they're willing to pay? The
Mm-hmm.
price doesn't have to be a negative concept, but there is a price to growth and expansion and trying to do things beyond what the organization or the person is capable of today. So I think it's my job to help them really be clear about the why, the vision, and what does it take to get there? And then are there true commitments to it or are they just intentions? We've coached people a long time. Folks say, I want to do this or that. What they really meant is I have intention to do it, but I'm not fully committed to it. And mostly people aren't committed to things because it's not inspired by some vision that they can't live without or they can't live without pursuing. So I think it's our job, my job to help people uncover that. And then they can make commitments for themselves. It's not my job to hold somebody accountable to their behaviors. Those days are behind me now. The job now is to help people find out why they would not need to have somebody else hold them accountable because they can't help but do it.
So, Stacey, if you look at it and you had to identify your ideal customer client, what would that look like for you? Talk about that.
Yeah, so I think we can work with people of all ages, all different backgrounds, certainly different industries. What we're going to be best for is someone who can show up into a process with us and set aside preconceived narratives about their past life and what that means for their future, who can come with the idea or the ability to answer this question: is it possible? Can they ask themselves, is it possible? Because I think so oftentimes we have limiting beliefs of what's possible in our business and life because of past experiences or fears that get in our way. And so it's the ideal client's going to be someone whose mind and heart are ready to grow and they want to have their cup filled up, that they've come and their cup is in. I think cups get empty. We use that metaphor of an empty cup. They come empty in two ways. One is I'm empty because I have no more room. I'm exhausted. I don't know what else to do with my life. There are folks that are going to need help there. And then there are folks that are saying, it's great. My life is fine, but I want it to be more significant. And so I'm ready to drive and push. We're going to meet people where they are and help them with whatever is best in their interest. It's not going to be about us or me in any way.
Well, they're all great comments, and I think it's sorely needed in this world today, not just in mortgage banking, but obviously outside of mortgage banking. So I think you have a great strategy. Are there any other comments that you would like to make to share with
Well, first of all, I
others?
want to say thank you to you, Pat. You have been a pro for so many years, and I've looked up to you and I've admired the work you've done. And you've been such a good friend and colleague to me as we've launched this endeavor. And I'm just grateful that we have people in the consulting world and the coaching world that first and foremost care about other people. So thank you for taking time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Well, Stacey, it's been my pleasure. I've known you all these years, and you've been an excellent executive and someone that I think has really added so much to our industry. So, why don't you share your contact information if people would like to get a hold of you?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, you can go to our website. It's hourglassconsultinggroup.com. So again, hourglassconsultinggroup.com. My direct phone number is 303-514-3677. And my email is just Stacey, Stacey, at hourglasscg.com.
Well, thanks so much, Stacey.
Pat, you're the best. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of the day.